in that discussion, we talk about institutionalized racism, but more importantly, we talk about beauty and about our authentic selves and having a space to celebrate one another. And really the goal of our cluster is to support women of color, especially during this age where, or not just during this age, but the narrative of this country is that women of color are not enough. And I feel that it is time for us to amplify the voices of women of color, and that happens through us sharing our narratives in our own authentic way, and making our contributions. Yes.
At lunch, the black kids would say to me when, people threw lunch trays at me and told me to go back to wherever the hell I came from. And, it was target practice for them. So I was the kid that they started ESL classes for. And so they really didn't know what quite to do with me. And so as I struggled, I found that contrary to popular opinion, I did not excel in math or science. However, I rocked in art, and this is where I found my language.
Why do I feel like narratives are important? Because I think everyone deserves a voice, and because each person is powerful in their own right, and I think narratives are important because they're a part of us, and keeping that going is keeping our history going, and it keeps us on our toes, and it really unites us on different fronts. Yeah.
I am a domestic violence survivor. So my ex, even though he was a lousy partner, he has tried to step up as a father, and so we co-parent. And the challenges were, as an artist, I couldn't go through this experience and not do anything about it. So I started my 2-minute elevator pitch to different people that, okay, I've gone through this experience. Come on in the circle, please. Welcome. You can come closer over here or just grab another chair. Yes, thank you. And so I would just tell anybody and everybody who would listen that this is what I've gone through, and how can I collaborate with other artists or other people to speak out against this taboo in our society and oftentimes in the women of color cultures. And
I think it's important because each one of us can experience a different event that really changes your entire life. And because I may not know where you came from or another person came from, I would never, or maybe not even be part of that environment. I may not ever get to hear or sit beside somebody who has had a profound experience. And it's important that we all learn and know about each other in that way and understand our diversity amongst ourselves.
And so this pop-up, we only invited family and friends, and it was just a simple gesture of kindness, generosity, and unity. We had conversations, open conversations about race, about equity, and what needs to be brought to the table. And what was the key to what's different about Break Bread, Break Waters is about the storytelling. And we don't just drop off the food. The ladies get to speak. They shared their life of struggles and triumph. They talked about how long they were in refugee camps, how they struggled to get their kids food, education, and how they wanted desperately for them to work so they can get a roof over everyone's head, how they wanted their husbands to be healthy, be able to bring all the kids here and not have to choose and decide which one gets to come. I hope I never have to come across that decision, ever. You know, do you say which one is strong enough to sit on their own? Which one needs lifting? Which one do I take? That is such a tough, tough world. And so at BBBB, what we try to do is you know, allow this safe space for women to tell their stories.
I said, no, she looks like I had a baby with his twin sister, who is white. She looks white. So yeah, that's how the mentality of their thinking is what we were dealing with. So
they thought he would do that as a like resent because
yes. That was one of the reasons. They were just really trying hard to point the finger, and that is, it is still shocking. It is shocking. I've actually followed that detective that pointed the finger at us. He's a security officer at the Gainesville High School up there. So when you pass through Gainesville, there's a Gainesville High School right there. He's a security officer right there. And one of these days, I think I might go pay him a visit.
he's never apologized.
No, no. He tore my family's life up. And I want to go and ask him, right here, you stated you were not, these are actual CPS records, that you were 95% sure the babysitter didn't do it, really? You have no idea what you did to my family's life. You tore us up, you and this babysitter, and your racist mind. I learned about what the Good Old Boy Network was. Never heard of that term until here. But I tell you what, when it was over with, I followed that prosecutor back up to the DA's office, and she says, I said, I want to see my daughter's pictures. She said, no, you don't. I said, yeah, I do. I'm never going to shy away or not be able to not look as a mother at my daughter's body. And she showed me. When I got done, I asked her, I said, why? Why did they come after us so hard? I don't understand. We gave everything. We opened up our lives. And she says, Yolanda, I can never say this beyond these closed doors, but it's because of the color of your skin, because of who you are. She says, but you know what? She says, had you not done what you did and kept pushing and pushing, this all would have been swept under the rug. And she said, you're like one big mama bear. And to this day, it's still hard to, because this is the first time I've really ever had any type of racism directed at me. I grew up in Denver. It's a big melting pot of people. My whole family are different colors. My whole step family is all different colors. But that was the reason why.
I am a product of Richardson Public Schools, where I grew up with lots of first-generation Americans from around the world, and I have been extraordinarily blessed to travel across 6 continents. But my story is also shaped by downtown Dallas, where I have volunteered since high school and worked since college and lived since 2010. And it was a little daunting to move away from the security of the electric utility, where I had a great mentor and sponsor in my Leadership Texas classmate, Debbie Dennis, and in our Chief Customer Officer, Brenda Jackson, to go to the Arts District. But the board member at the Arts District who was recruiting me saying, if you don't take this job, we won't have a woman executive director. If you don't take this job, we won't have an executive director under the age of 40. If you don't take this job, the Dallas Arts District will not have a Latino executive director. If you don't take this job, the Dallas Arts District will not have a director who lives within walking distance. So that got me. And
the power of narratives and telling your own story is that you get to get it right. You get to tell the story as you understand it. And I think it also empowers other people, the experience that you have in the world.
I think it's impacting in a larger space in the way that it's finding that common denominator and the universalness about it to bring more unity to our community.
So I think as a journalist, I think it actually all ties in because I want to tell stories, and part of the work that we do on human rights, social rights, is about telling stories. If we see something that's unjust, that's a story. We need to talk about that. We need to have a conversation. A story is just a conversation. And I like telling the stories that are two-way conversations as opposed to one-way conversations. So I enjoy this type of a journalistic field more so back and forth conversation as to a reporter reporting the facts or whatever. I enjoy that a lot more. I think it really all ties in together. I think the reason I am so passionate about it is because I'm dedicated to being able to get the stories out.
And it has pushed me to look into where I come from, looking into my people's spirituality, to starting to become part of the ceremonies and the tradition and the ways of my people for strength. And I've learned a lot. But I also learned too that I have to speak up.
my urban, multicultural, interfaith, family, and global network has helped me to realize, I think, one of the greatest challenges facing our community in our society is the ability for privileged people to opt out of common experiences. We are fortunate to choose where we live, where we work, vote, and pay taxes, when and which doctors we're going to see, where we or our kids will go to school, how we travel, where we get our news, which careers we want to pursue. We have leisure time and we decide what to do with that. So it's way too easy for us to surround ourselves with like-minded and similarly situated folk. And that has contributed to this disparity never before seen in my lifetime, and which I fear is putting the American dream out of reach for people like my grandparents.
My experience has shown me that we have a constant uphill battle. And it's not due to any direct action. This is the part that irritates me, Candace. It's not due to something that we've done. It's due to the stigmas that are attached to us. And that's extremely problematic. So it's almost like fighting a ghost. It's almost like chasing the ghost. I told Lee I was going to give myself the new name Casper. Because sometimes I feel like I'm chasing something and fighting against something that's not even real. It's different things that other groups and other people out of ignorance have placed upon us, like the angry black woman stigma. And I know that irritates us all. And different things like that. So in this matter of when I spoke at the press conference about the value of women of color, in my opinion, that is constantly challenged. And I feel like my value was given to me at birth. So then why do I constantly have to prove that value if there's not been any direct action that shows the opposite, that I shouldn't be that way, right? When we see the casual devaluation of the black woman, we need to stop that. We need to 86 that. It's gonna have to start with us. It's a fight that we inherited. We didn't ask for it. It was placed upon us. The stigmas were placed upon us. So we can either live with them upon us, or we can try to deflect and redirect and remove them from our what do you call it, makeup as a Black woman. We can remove that from our makeup.
I think that there is a misconception of Dallas as a conservative place. I think Dallas and all cities nationwide tend to be more progressive, inclusive, and equitable places. And yet, unlike other places that I've lived and worked, Dallas seems to me unusually deferential to the more conservative power brokers who choose not to live, vote, and pay taxes in the city of Dallas, including here in the Park Cities and in Collin County where I work. And I think that systemic generational disenfranchisement is reflected in our pathetic voter turnout. The disenfranchisement systemically also means that to vote in primaries, where early voting begins in a couple of weeks, if you're not registered today, it's already too late, and that's shameful. But our voter turnout is in the single digits in percentage points. Often less than 10% of people participate in our elections. And I think it's because people are tired and poor, not just poor in resources, but poor in life skills and in time to navigate participating in the system. I am concerned about the disparity because I think the broader it gets, the harder it is to bring people back together. My optimism, the reason I would say I am an optimist is because I tend to look to the silver linings, and I would say that under that dark cloud of horribly low civic engagement and voter participation, the silver lining is that hundreds or sometimes as few as dozens of voters can actually change the outcome of elections. And especially, I believe all politics are local, so I try to heavily filter my consumption of national news and focus on our state news, which of late has been more harrowing to me and more disheartening and more disillusioning to me, but also our county and our municipal news. And if we get all the people in this room to fill our cars with our friends and drive them to the polls, that could effectively change the outcome of city council, school board, county commissioner, and state representative races.
And here's the thing, I've been around some people who sometimes I'm the first Black woman they've ever met. So what do you think their first perception or reality is of me? Because they don't know, all they know is what they've seen in mass production. And so a lot of times that frustrates people too, and they get frustrated. But I see both sides of that coin. If this is all you know, by default, human behavior, you're probably going to have some of that stuff in the back of your mind, whether it's consciously or not. And so that's what we're up against. It's very problematic. It's very, very problematic, and I take it very serious.
And I never was a person to speak up, nor would I ever dream that I would be helping lead 300 people down the streets of downtown Dallas a year ago against the pipelines, the environmental work that all this journey, this road of mine has led me to.
Even when we have different point of views, that we can share this commonality of having a narrative and having a voice, to be together in a space and coexist, because we need more of that in our world. And now, before now, and going forward as well.
They serve to empower us and to help us to remember who we are and how we came to be. And so, passing down generation after generation of stories helps us to, I think, become bigger, better, stronger communities.
And I think in order to embrace those concepts, you have to opt into a common experience and a common set of facts. And again, opting out of public education and public discourse makes it much easier for people to ignore whatever is uncomfortable for them or disagreeable to them.
We need to have some conversations, and we truly need to get to know one another, because a lot of times there are
the people attending understand that, it's just like voting. Every single vote counts, and every voice counts, and every narrative counts, and coming into the cluster doesn't mean, each narrative gets, sort of, combined in a way, but it is combined in a more powerful way that the world can hear us.